In the dead of night, hackers unleashed a secret world where emails, affairs, and hidden desires became public. Ashley Madison's promise of discretion crumbled, and lives were never the same again.
How interesting that a site that is based on keeping your information private is getting hacked. What happened here?
Before dawn on a late summer morning in 2015, millions of people around the world logged into a website with a sense of quiet confidence. Some sought escape, while others sought excitement. Carrying heavy secrets, they believed that behind firewalls and privacy screens, they were safe. Ashley Madison promised anonymity. It promised privacy and secrecy. Its slogan, "Life is short, have an affair," was bold.
I cheated on my husband to find companionship, to feel happy and alive again.
But more importantly, it was a pact between user and platform. What happened there stayed there. But what millions of users did not know was that this promise of privacy was built on shaky foundations. And on August 18th and 2015, that foundation crumbled. In a matter of hours, one of the most devastating data breaches in digital history erupted. This exposed the intimate details of more than 30 million people and forever reshaped how the world views privacy online. Ashley Madison was not simply a dating site. It was a confidant for millions, a digital confessional box for desires people feared to voice in the daylight. Its users spanned ordinary citizens, professionals, civil servants, clergy members, military personnel, and public figures. They came from cities and small towns across dozens of countries, connected by the belief that their secret lives could remain separate from their public identities. Some paid for premium features. A notable portion paid for something called Full Delete, a service that promised to erase profiles and associated data permanently. Users believed they could truly disappear, but they were wrong. In the summer of 2015, an anonymous group identifying itself as the Impact Team began posting warnings online. They claimed to have gained access to Ashley Madison's entire internal database, every user profile, every message, every email address, and every record ever submitted, including accounts marked as deleted. Their demand was simple and unyielding: shut down Ashley Madison forever. They insisted the company's data deletion claims were false and that users' private lives were at risk. Initially, Ashley Madison's leadership responded with denial and assured users that their systems were secure. The company insisted that it had every reason to keep operating and that the breach claims were exaggerated, but the Impact Team was not bluffing. Actual database files began circulating on dark forums and file-sharing sites. Tech analysts quickly confirmed that the data was legitimate. It contained tens of millions of user records, including email addresses tied to names, locations, dating preferences, and deeply personal information. And most alarmingly, even accounts that users believed had been deleted remained in the leak. The Impact Team had struck a blow not just at a database, but at the very notion of digital secrecy. On August 18, 2015, the first major dump of Ashley Madison data hit the internet. More than 60 gigabytes of raw personal information, including email addresses, passwords, private messages, and profile details, were leaked. Within days, mirror sites and torrent trackers hosted the leaked files. At first, the breach was a technical story, discussed in cybersecurity circles and tech news sites, but it quickly spiraled into something far more human. Search tools were built that allowed anyone to type an email address and see if it existed in the Ashley Madison database. Local news outlets in some regions published searchable user lists categorized by city or postal code. A couple in Kansas discovered each other's accounts. A teacher in the UK faced public inspection after a local outlet listed nearby email matches. These were not abstract numbers anymore. They were people's lives, suddenly exposed. The essence of the Ashley Madison breach was not the volume of data, but its sensitivity. Unlike a stolen credit card number, which can be canceled, or a leaked login password, which can be reset, personal secrets cannot simply be reissued or replaced. A relationship preference, a hidden desire, a name tied to a coded profile, these are part of someone's identity. And when identity is exposed, the outcomes are deep and lasting. Within weeks, stories began to emerge of marriages broken by digital proof. Partners who once suspected disloyalty now had evidence in black and white. Children overheard arguments they never anticipated. Employers discovered employees whose private behavior clashed with professional codes of conduct. Newsrooms reported local figures exposed in the data. Ashley Madison did not just leak data, it exposed the hidden parts of human lives to a cold and unforgiving public eye. In some countries, the stakes were even higher. Where adultery is criminalized or deeply stigmatized socially, the exposed data carries not just personal consequences, but legal risk. This was not an academic exercise in data privacy. It was real people. That's why lives changed in an instant. For many, the emotional toll was overwhelming. Psychologists who later studied the impact of the breach noted spikes in anxiety, depression, and trust issues among people whose names appeared in the leaked database. The breach was not just about exposure, it was about betrayal. In several reported cases, individuals took their own lives in the aftermath of the breach. Police in Quebec and the United States publicly stated that at least 2 suicides may have been linked to the emotional fallout from the Ashley Madison leak. The exposure of private life became unbearable for some, leaving behind grief that could never be fully quantified. And while the suicides were among the most extreme outcomes, countless others experienced their own forms of suffering. If public exposure was one horror of the Ashley Madison breach, another was the rise of targeted blackmailing campaigns that flourished in its aftermath. Unlike common blackmailing that claims to have footage or evidence without verification, many of the threats tied to Ashley Madison used actual data from the leak. These personalized blackmailing campaigns were psychologically ruthless. They did not rely on vague fear. They invoked specific personal information that confirmed to the recipient that the attacker truly possessed material tied to them. Some threats included password-protected PDF files or links to supposedly incriminating documents. In return, demanding the victims to pay simply to silence the threat. The persistence of these blackmailings served as a stark reminder that once personal data has been leaked, it never truly disappears. Ashley Madison's parent company, originally known as Avid Life Media, did not escape the fallout untouched. Within months of the breach, the company faced a wave of lawsuits in both the United States and Canada. Plaintiffs argued that Ashley Madison had been negligent, deceptive, and untruthful about its claims regarding data security and deletion practices. In particular, the full delete service became a focal point of legal and ethical criticism. In 2017, a major class action settlement was reached for $11.2 million, a figure that many legal analysts and commentators argued was inadequate given the scale of personal harm and reputational damage of millions of users. While the settlement provided some measure of legal closure, for many individuals it offered little comfort for the emotional and social consequences they had already endured. Canadian law enforcement even offered rewards, reportedly up to $500,000, for information leading to the arrest of those responsible for the hack. Yet, as of 2025, no confirmed arrests have been made related to the Ashley Madison data breach. The breach also affected regulatory frameworks. In the years that followed, lawmakers in Europe, North America, and other regions argued for stronger data privacy laws and more severe penalties for corporate negligence in protecting sensitive user data. In particular, Europe's General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, which went into effect in 2018, emphasizes transparency, data minimization, and the right to erasure. Despite the scandal and global outrage, Ashley Madison did not disappear. Under new leadership and restructuring, the company rebranded itself and continued to operate. It changed conditions and shifted its message. Marketing emphasized private relationships rather than explicitly promoting extramarital affairs. Some reported that the site adopted interface elements resembling mainstream dating platforms, perhaps in an effort to distance itself from its controversial past. By the early 2020s, Ashley Madison claimed over 85 million global registrations, a significant increase from the reported number of accounts at the time of the breach. This growth suggests that despite the bad reputation and the privacy disaster, there still remained a persistent demand for private connections in the digital age. In 2024, the story of Ashley Madison received renewed cultural attention with the release of Ashley Madison: Sex, Lies, and Scandal. It was a 3-episode documentary series on Netflix. The series blended interviews with cybersecurity experts, former employees, and individuals whose lives were irrevocably changed by the breach. It did not just recount technical details. It explored the paradox of a platform built on secrecy that failed to protect the secrets entrusted to it. The documentary revealed internal contradictions, including emails from former executives that conflicted with public statements about data security. It shed light on a corporate culture at odds with its own privacy messaging. The film underscored the broader implications of the breach, not only for individual users, but for society's understanding of intimacy, technology, and trust. Unlike breaches of financial data, which can often be reversed or eased, exposure of intimate data leaves deeper wounds. A breached credit card number can be canceled. Once someone's private desires, messages, or hidden life choices are exposed, there is no reset button. Psychologists who examined the aftermath of the Ashley Madison scandal found that victims experienced prolonged emotional distress, including symptoms associated with anxiety disorders and social phobia. Many individuals reported feeling watched, vulnerable, or unsafe whenever they used digital services. What made the Ashley Madison breach particularly devastating was not just the data itself, but its implications. Someone's deepest secrets, once safe in a private corner of the internet, could be broadcast to anyone with a search tool. The Ashley Madison breach remains an essential cautionary tale in digital privacy, cybersecurity, and ethical responsibility. It exposed how easily personal trust can be betrayed by both malicious actors and corporate negligence. Users were not just data points. They were people whose lives were disrupted, relationships damaged, or reputations tarnished. And even in some cases, their mental health suffered deeply. Privacy advocates argue that the breach highlighted a profound truth about online data. Deletion is not erasure, and secrecy is not a guarantee. The breach showed that companies handling sensitive personal information must not only encrypt data, but they must transparently communicate what happens to that data, how it is stored, and under what conditions it is truly erased. For lawmakers, it provided urgency. Terms like data minimization, explicit consent, and right to be forgotten moved from unclear legal vocabulary into everyday conversation, shaping digital policy around the world. The European Union's GDPR and similar laws in other regions reflect the lessons learned from Ashley Madison's failure. Personal data deserves robust protection, and violations of that protection carry real human costs. The Ashley Madison hack was not just a story of technology gone wrong. It was a story of human vulnerability, secrecy weaponized, and trust being betrayed by systems entrusted to protect it. It forced the world to confront uncomfortable truths about how we use technology, what we choose to share, and the risks we accept when we place our most private selves into the digital realm. In an age where data defines identity and digital footprints can last forever, Ashley Madison stands as a stark reminder. Once privacy is lost, it is nearly impossible to recover it. The breach taught us that no system is infallible, and no promise is unbreakable. Sometimes the digital echoes of our secrets can echo long after we think they are gone. These incidents show just how risky our private data can be. Stay safe, hit like, subscribe, and share for more real stories you need to know.